Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing well out there. Good to see you all. Just doing a follow-up video, going to provide some evidence for the assertions we laid out last time in the video called EM Human Acclimatization. So we're just going to go over some broad concepts to kind of get the point across. In modern technology, anything that is electronic and transmitting forms an array. So, smart meters, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, different types of electrical transmitters form an array similar to a radio telescope or different things like that. And humans are not taught that these arrays can be used in a variety of ways. And so in order to make sense of what I was saying in the last video, we're going to open our minds to these realities of how electrical technology in an array configuration can be used for a wide variety of technologies. So we're going to start out with simple lasers. Lasers used for mapping, geospatial technology solutions, LiDAR, right? It's a type of laser. It uses pulses from a laser to collect measurements, and then those measurements are used to create 3D models and maps. Okay, you can also use a laser as a missile defense system. Israel has developed a ground-based laser missile defense system called Iron Beam. So you can use the same technology to make a map, or you can use the same technology to destroy incoming artillery. Okay, and so Forbes.com, Dubai, is using lasers to shock rainwater out of clouds. So you can use lasers to liberate water. You can use lasers to destroy intercontinental missiles. You can use lasers for mapping. Okay, so laser evoked cortical responses in freely moving rats. You can also use lasers. We're at scientific repository here. You can also use lasers to affect different types of light, can actually affect the brain response in mammals because of the photosensitivity that exists in the biophotonic communications of the intercellular network. That's why this is a thing here. So again, just an example of 4 different ways we can use a single laser. Okay, try to keep that in mind. Okay, moving on. Wi-Fi mapping inside a room. Topological indoor mapping through Wi-Fi signals. This is Cornell University. Might be a preprint here, but this is relatively old news. They've been doing this for a long time already. So you can use Wi-Fi. We use Wi-Fi to make a movie or connect with friends, transmit data, connect to the internet, send an email, but you can also use Wi-Fi to map the indoor topography of a structure. Okay, we're moving on. We're at Canada News. Your Wi-Fi router could be used to watch you breathe and monitor your heartbeat. So the same technology that we all use to send emails can actually monitor the position of our bodies, including our heart rate. Radar-like technology can see through walls to track movement using your Wi-Fi router. So it's the same technology. And when you have an array of these Wi-Fi routers, like in every house of the block, you can actually combine the effectiveness and the power output with like almost like a fractal antenna. We might have to talk about that in another video. Okay, moving on here. Challenges and opportunities in utilizing IoT-based stress maps as a community mood detector. So they're trying to analyze, of course, this is coming out of, let's see, Orlando. United States here. Technologies for Homeland Security, geez. So they're trying to analyze the mood, the entire community's moods, you know, and that can be used, of course, to preemptively prepare for different types of things involving the community. So let's see here, keep going. MIT uses wireless signals and AI to monitor in patients at home. So the device called Emerald is similar to a large Wi-Fi router mounted on the wall. It emits wireless signals which reflect off of patients. The system then uses AI to analyze those patterns and infer a person's breathing rate, sleep patterns, and even movement. Sensitive enough to detect chest movement, which translates into breathing rate. And this is also the same type. They monitor blood pressure to get an indication of a person's potential mood or emotions. Okay, and now we're at another publication here. Wi-Fi nanoparticles send signals from the brain. Nanoparticles in the brain could generate measurable magnetic fields in response to the brain's electrical fields and then be used to send wireless messages. Okay. New findings published in the Journal of Future Medicine suggest that we may have another way forward. A medical research team from Florida International University in Miami injected 20 billion nanoparticles into the brains of mice with the idea of establishing a kind of direct wireless connection to neurons. Okay, we're continuing. I had to take a screenshot and do a little editing so I don't get deleted by the AI. But we're talking about the Mexican beer illness again. We're at a medical research repository at the National Library of Medicine. Today we're in the journals, in the Journal of Trends in Molecular Medicine. The title of this one is Adverse Effect of the Mexican Beer Illness Fun Juice, a Spike Hypothesis. We're going to scroll down this medical article. We're just going to read this a little bit. So, given the wide ACE expression in the human brain, a study, I've gone over that in my YouTube channel called The Consummate Observer if you're interested about the ACE receptors and how they interact with the fun juice. A study of particular interest showed that IV injected S1 protein, which is the spike protein found on both in the fun juice and is the same S protein found in the Mexican beer illness, readily crossed the blood-brain barrier in male mice. The S protein was taken up by the brain regions and entered the parenchymal brain space. It should be noted that the S proteins from the injection were also taken up by the lung, spleen, kidney, and liver. This is why you're getting various types of people unalived by these types of organ adverse reactions. So intranasally administered S protein also entered the brain, although at lower levels than the fun juice administration. Similarly, S1 protein was found to disrupt the blood-brain barrier integrity, which I've gone over from several studies published way back in 2021, 2022. And in support of these findings, the biodistribution studies of the fun juice from this company and the rats study revealed the presence of low levels of the injected fun juice nanoparticles in the brain, indicating that the fun juice nanoparticles can cross the blood-brain barrier in mammals. And other studies, of course, have found these nanoparticles from the fun juice, as well as their RNA counterparts in the human brain in different types of autopsies. And so the reason why we're making this video today is to formulate a reality regarding what we're being told, right? The government, corporation, military complex doesn't have enough money, supposedly, to get Flint, Michigan clean water. And yet they have billions of dollars to get a free fun juice for almost, I think it's over 100 million Americans just in this country. So getting back to the levels of contradiction that we discussed in the human logic pathways that we discussed in the previous video, this is kind of the contradictions that we're talking about as an indication of the mind control apparatus, right? On the TV, they say that we should be upset with the government because of the high cost of healthcare, capitalism, racism. But it's these types of contradictions that kind of show us the true insidious nature of the corporate government structure. They don't have enough money to simply get clean water to Flint, Michigan, and yet they have enough money to get the fun juice to over 100 million people in our country. And we've found through different studies that these nanoparticles from the fun juice do cross the blood-brain barrier, and they do remain in the human brain. Okay, so again, they don't have money for Flint, Michigan. They don't care about the children with dirty water who can't drink the poison water. But they do supposedly care about those children getting injected with the nanoparticles that have been found in human brains. And in previous publications that I've done, we see how different types of Wi-Fi, even the LED or laser field, can actually integrate into the brain waves of human individuals, as well as certain structures being created when you shoot EM fields at these vials of the fun juice at a 98 degrees temperature. They will create what are looking like an antenna called fractal antennas. They use this in electrical engineering. So again, they don't have enough money for clean water for children in Flint, Michigan, but they do have enough money to get these nanoparticles into the human brain that have been found to create and interact with EM fields to generate these fractal antennas. And a fractal antenna is meant to receive a signal, and that's what we were talking about last time as the overall attempt by government corporations, ancient royal families, politicians, corporations, industries, lobbyists, as they attempt to circumvent this logarithmic expansion of human awareness by literally mind controlling the population with these nanoparticles that have been found in the human brain. Nanoparticles that, when exposed to an EM field, create self-assembling fractal antennas, and those fractal antennas would then be used to transmit thought carrier waves of any type of emotion or general thought, general malaise, empathy, apathy, sympathy. These human emotions are all derived from basic megahertz frequencies. So when you have this type of network in the brain, in the body, it's in all of these organs too, and that's why we want to take some time and really study this if we're still capable of original thought, so that we can get these things out of our brain, out of our blood, out of our vital organs. On the TV, it's really tough to explain this stuff, because the TV has taught people to identify the government corporation's wrongdoing in certain ways, and then when this new information comes out and we're trying to explain what the government corporations are actually doing, there are certain things worse than, it rhymes with grape, right? There are certain things worse than being unalived, right? And those things are a mental grape, rhymes with grape, right? Mental grape. A mental, essentially walking unalived, right? I have to use these codes so I don't get deleted by the AI. So a lot of us will say, oh, well, the government corporations is racist and, misogynist and sexist and classist, which is all true. But the real insidious nature of the control structure on Earth, functioning through corporations and governments, again, as a result of these ancient royal families who are themselves beholden to, extra supernatural forces. You could explain it in that way. This is a large framework of what's happening to humans, and it takes a little bit of legwork in order to kind of come to terms with this reality, but it's absolutely true. Just like the example with the corporations don't have enough money to give clean water to the Flint, Michigan, but they have enough money to give those kids these nanoparticles that create fractal antennas in the brain and happen to interact with high intensity EM fields, all over the house and the city and the schools. So again, there's a lot of subtleties going on here. I hope I'm making these points clear enough. So thank you everyone once again for joining me. I hope everybody's doing well. It's good to see you all. And yeah, just make sure to read about my article called The Dipole Affectation of Alternating Current in Human Microbiology, Molecular Biology. Check out the study, the scientific paper I wrote about the human brain, a piezoelectric microcrystalline transducing magnetometer. That in that paper, it kind of explains how all of this stuff works. Check out the plastic exposure pathway article. There's just a lot of stuff available on my website, savananda.org, that government corporations do not want in the hands of a common person, and that's why I do all of this hardcore research. for everybody so that you'll be able to be liberated by the false narratives available on the TV and social media, and so that we can move toward ultimate awareness and then be able to recognize the bondage entailed in the industrial mindset way of life so that we can be liberated by it. And then once we're liberated by it, we can attempt to liberate others from the Western medical mindset and this spell that they have cast upon ourselves and our children, our families. You know, this is beyond politics, beyond race, beyond gender. These nanoparticles have been found to cross the blood-brain barrier. They've been found to create self-assembling fractal antennas. And that's why they want this stuff in the next generation, in the children right now, because especially the children right now are coming out very different. You know, they can see more clearly than any other previous generation before us. And you know, I have another video, the presentation that I did about the congregating manifestation that's on Savananda, my YouTube channel. So yeah, this is a very complex situation that humans have found ourselves in, and that's why there are so many of us returning to the world of the living to give balance to the knowledge base of the Western mindset and to liberate the people through free education in science and philosophy, ancient religions, ancient traditions like yoga, meditation, all of this kind of thing. So yeah, if anybody needs to schedule an appointment, feel free to schedule a yoga class at my website, savananda.org. Until the next time, thank you again.